We are now live streaming on YouTube, and look who I found. The incredible Josh X. There he is. There he is. There he is. So, Josh, welcome. You found us.
Thank you very much for having me again. And yes, I'm here to stay.
Excellent. And Charlie's got a good signal? We think so. Who knows? Who knows? But guys, thank you so much for bearing with us. I appreciate you guys out there. I know it's one of those nights tonight, but I know you guys will not be disappointed. So we're going to get straight into things. I think what we're going to do tonight is we're going to dive straight into some questions, because I know lots of you guys have questions. We've got two people that are going to come on the show as well a little bit later and ask their questions. So Richard and Nina Marie, I'll give you the nod, but I think we will do a few questions and then get you guys on. So, okay, so let me get my little pile of questions. So one of the questions I've had from the beautiful Jean Grey, she's part of our Dharma community, and she is based out in New Zealand. And her question basically is, with all the media events and everything that's currently happening in the world, how do we start to disseminate fact from fiction? We are constantly being bombarded, from political warfare to enlightenment warfare, to the point where believers are becoming naysayers because of the information overload. Who is right? Who is wrong? I thought it was a great question.
It's so simple. I'll pass this over to Josh in just a sec, but it's so simple. You are right when you are right, and God is right. You know the truth, like I said all last week, and again and again and again, you have to go within. If you want the truth, you have to go within. I'm sorry, it's the way it is. And even when you read these ancient scriptures, which I love, I just love reading them. They're just the greatest treatises, books, that have ever, documents that have ever been created. They really are. But they pale in comparison to what comes within. By the way, what all of these ancient scriptures tell you, that God is not the God of the dead. And as Josh teaches, the page is dead. Those words are lying on a dead piece of paper. And how do you bring them to life? Within you. I'm sorry, but it's the only way. And the reality is, how do the few rule over? How do literally 13 bloodline families rule over 7 billion people? How do they do that? By making everything a lie. Everything you hear within and out of the spirituality community, within the mainstream news, alternative, everything is maybe a bit or a piece of the truth, and the rest of it is just filled in with how I'm again sorry if that hurts, but we're at a point where we have to start, no matter what the price, we have to start hearing this truth and then start making changes in our lives. So the truth is within you. Over to Josh.
So just before we jump to Josh, so you're basically saying that we have to learn to go inwards to discern whether what we are being told is true.
There's no other way. And Josh does this too. So I know he absolutely knows, and you absolutely know, Eloise, when you go within the downloads, I call them downloads, the downloads you receive, there's no mistaking where they come from. And the thing is that you're not left with any, I know both of you can speak to this, you're not left with any doubt. When you get these downloads within you, you absolutely know it's the truth. You can feel it's the truth. You sense it's the truth. And then as you begin to apply it inside of your mind with thought, it fits everywhere. It's the key. So you see, everything is a lock, and the only place to get the pass key is from God. He's got the key, and it's designed specifically for you.
And just to build on what you're saying, Charlie, and then I will pass over to Josh, but I can totally relate to that. It was like when everything kicked off with Corona, my sort of another level of awakening was all the dots joined. I could just see all the pieces of the puzzle fit. And now what I do when I'm kind of tuning into something is I just literally sit in the energy of it and see how it feels for me, to see if it's true for me. And then if it doesn't feel right for me, I leave it. So I think I love what you're saying about, you know, meditating, going in and as well. But I think we have to learn just to sit in the energy of things and watch things and just see if they resonate with us. And if they don't, trust ourselves.
Yep, 100%.
So Josh, words of wisdom.
Mm-hmm. I think we should start with order out of chaos. The external world is a dimension of chaos to create order inside the internal world. One who seeks shall gather the information, and the information needs to sit within. Information should lead to one disconnecting with that chaotic world. So the more we put into our awareness from the busyness of the world, the more chaotic our mind becomes. But to sit still and disconnect from that realm is to allow it to simulate within. I mean, the word information is inform at ion. Now, this is allowing the body to be able to be merged with consciousness and to be able to find his own truth. Because the external world only represents one truth, and that is facts. And facts are F matter acts. So these are acts with matter. But again, we're not looking from the material aspect, we're looking from the spiritual sense and observing this to create this wonderful resonance within to become back to source. So there is really no truth apart from your own divine truth, and seeking will take you to a place where you truly know with wisdom. So applying knowledge that you have learned creates the action, and that action is your karma. So to be able to apply what you're learning is to be able to bring it into fruition, in a sense that your physical through the spirit can see how this whole reality works. Again, it's a very big journey of man, and man must take his own steps. But please don't flood your mind with the world, because there's only things to set you, they will set you free, but they set you back in a sense where you have more attachments, and attachments are these demons or the jinn or the whisperers that go on within the mind. So yeah, you know, the Bible stated you have to be careful of the spreaders of hearsay and untruth. And right now, with the age of information and etherical technology, everyone's a blogger. Everyone seems to know things, but the true wisdom comes from synchronicity, and that's within you. So you must synchronize life with the truth inside of you, and that will make sense, which is making new senses for your own perception. Inception.
Wow, fantastic. And I love, there's loads of things I'd like to pull out there, but one of which is obviously, you know, we get kind of confused really if we're kind of looking outside of ourselves all the time. We have to come in and really, you know, see what's true for us. But there's this sort of famous saying that a man can only can see the world as like the depth that he's met himself. You know, and could you kind of expand on that? Because I think that's kind of what's happening on the planet for a lot of people. Like some people have woken up, you know, had kind of simultaneous or spontaneous awakenings around all of this stuff, and then other people have this cognitive dissonance. Why is that the case? Why are some people kind of instantly waking up and then others just get stuck?
We're all on a vibratory level in this existence, and this plane that we live on, the inert inertia plane of Earth, allows multiple energetic forms to exist here. And again, we're all at different frequencies. So this expansive, let's say, program is there for consciousness to evolve or to get trapped into. And we must remember that everybody is exactly where they need to be at this particular time. So evolution is on an individual basis, and you know, the advice that I can give people that feel like they need to be further is to not actually let it affect you, because the journey of building one's temple is a slow and steady. As we said, slow and steady will always win the race, and this is the rat race. We must just not look for extra things and just be present and happy with where we are, and life will always lead you. everybody's obviously been online and they search and they find videos that align with what they're seeking for. This is electromagnetic. This experience we're having is interactive. It's a 3D, 4D, 5D interface with consciousness. And when we can truly merge with the awareness and we flow with consciousness, we see the river of God. And when you can see this river of God, you truly know that there's only one thing. This is energy. And to be that energy is something that every man and woman has the capability to be. So you must flow with life. As life will always flow with you, but to be receptive of this is really just to not let the ego try to dominate you via information. It really wants to. It wants to be cleverer than the next man. It wants you to find this information out, but too much information will bog you down. You need not know what's going on in the world. You truly need to know what's going on with the natural side of your evolution. And your evolution is progressive and it never stops. It's limitless, and it's just down to the level of perception that one has and is capable of reading with this conscious interface at this moment in time. So slow progressions will lead you the furthest. If you try to run before you can walk, you will trip over. And this sense will hold you back in a box, because information is just micro traps for the consciousness. Within is embodiment. You know, but to be able, there's so many dimensions of awareness. For one to be woke, there's just so many dimensions to what one has woken to. So one to feel as if they are awoken is almost a trap for that oneself, because in that moment of thinking one has been woke, they do not know the multiple dimensions that exist past this stage of wakefulness. But to recognize the fact that you've been lied to, and to see the world in a sense that it is an illusion and the truth has always been here for you to see, is the first stage of the evolution of man. But don't give up, because the progressive levels here are just limitless. And I've sort of lost the question, and if I missed the question, please redirect it at me and I will answer it.
No, I think it was fascinating what you said. I suppose the question is why are some people having kind of instantaneous awakenings and then just kind of seeing obviously everything that's happening, and then other people have this kind of cognitive dissonance? Does our past lives play into that as well? Our souls?
It's a progressive vibratory level of your soul source. And when you're birthed or born in the place enter here, you will be set on the frequency you left the last cycle of energy here. And you're born into the family via energy. It's only energy. So then that experience is energetic, and it's the next level of your progression. Life is amazing.
Wow. And that makes so much sense. Of course, we kind of pick up where we've left off almost energetically with our birth family, and then our soul gets to continue its journey.
Yes, via this wonderful stick that goes up and down our body, the spine. The spiral of the spine that holds the vibration. Yeah.
Wow, fascinating.
Chakra.
Okay, and then so with the cognitive dissonance that people are experiencing currently, is that a case that they can kind of work through it, as in, you know, enough kind of pennies will drop that something will awaken them? Or
it's like if you look at the word embarrassment, it's like EM represents electromagnetism and bar. It's an electromagnetic bar, and this doesn't resonate with that being, so it actually repulses them. But the information and the gnosis has been dropped, so it needs time to sync within the being, and then once that being has crossed enough synchronicities, there'll be an awakening. So anything that has spoken will always serve its purpose, and this is why there's no need to, you know, information is there for everybody to seek, but the wisdom is what needs to be spoken, because wisdom will always sit and just wait like a seed. And then as soon as the water is ready and the vibration is enough to carry that seed, it will blossom into a wonderful new experience for that dimension of man.
So this is really good for people listening who are dealing with kind of family members that maybe are not awake to the truth, that essentially they should just keep sharing the truth, and at some stage enough synchronicities will land that the person will, if they're contracted to in this lifetime, awaken.
Take care when you share it with family, because with the cognitive dissonance, it repels the energy. So I recommend really trying not to, force things or push things on anyone. If you speak higher than the next man, they will come to you when they're ready, and they will ask the questions, and just drop small little awareness bombs that may possibly help them on their journey. But it's very key that I think we all go through these stages when we first find out we want to share because we feel alone and we want someone to join us. But again, that's another trap, because we are truly empowered when we're at peace with ourselves. So then you grow in another stage once you stop trying to share the information and you realize that the information was for you and the wisdom is now within you, and that is to share, with whom you seek it. But again, that's another form of your awareness, and to help humanity with will power is to change will, and we cannot change will. There is nothing that can change will. You must have your own wheel with this will and find it yourself and know yourself.
To be the light is basically what you're saying to our listeners, rather than, because I know what you're saying, when we do, awaken to this information, this gnosis, this knowledge, we obviously want to help and serve those around us. But really the best thing we can do is embody it and live in such a way that people go, oh, what are they doing? Why is their life so good?
Yeah, they shine, they're happy, they're vibrant, they look healthy, they live long, and every day they're smiling, and they just observe, and that's the best way. Good way to put it, sister.
Brilliant. Yeah, beautiful. I really hope that was helpful. That was helpful for me. I hope that was helpful to people listening. Charlie, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, there's it's so key what Josh said, and I think what I can do is help to just really, really, really simplify things down to all the listeners, to make it as practical and useful as possible. First off, like you were asking Josh, and Josh, of course, answered so well, which is, so how do you help others? How, it especially with family members, it's tough. And the first thing Josh said is, you really need to think this through before you approach family members with the truth. Because one of the things, of course, is that people who have the truth actually only have little bits and pieces of it. So therefore, oftentimes it can only create more confusion before there's any kind of benefit to it. So we should really, really, really be cautious, like, again, Josh said, with everybody having access to internet and an account and a platform of which to pontificate from. We need to be really, really careful. What we need to become is the observer and not the teacher just yet. Ultimately, we all need to become the teachers, but only when the light is on. So one of the things that was said, and I'll just do this in a linear fashion, but one of the things that was said a little earlier was that, again, it's about awakening and what's happening with all of these spontaneous awakenings. There are partial awakenings. To be fully awoken is an incredible thing, and it is not something that occurs with watching one podcast or listening to or reading a book or anything along those lines. Because it's an inward process, it's an inward journey, and it's the work that has to be done. And I'm sorry, but again, there are no shortcuts to this process. The only way in which you can truly become enlightened is to be awoken. And the only way you can be awoken is if you have stripped away the veneers of the rotting onion away from you, and you reveal the inner light and the inner essence to you. And that only comes from doing the work. So once again, as we were talking last week, it's so simple. And I'm not kidding. Josh is not kidding when we say this. It all starts through the food you eat and the breath that you take, which, by the way, both directly affect the thought that you do or don't take. So remember, write these down. Remember I was saying to you about having your notebook for these shows. This is so important. So this is show number 2, and you make your notes, and you got Josh and you're writing down his stuff. Write this down and make a little pyramid for yourself, because this pyramid is so very important. So at the bottom left base of the pyramid, you just make a circle in that intersection, and in that bottom left corner, you're going to write down food. And on the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to write down breath. And at the very top of the pyramid, completing the triangle, because that's what a pyramid is. Pyramid is your triangle, and that's the trinity. Okay, that's why it's a triangle, because it's a trinity. And at the top is thought. Okay, now when you take thought of yourself, remember what we taught last week. Human thought, or thought of mankind, is not permanent. It is not always. It is not omniscient, omnipresent. It takes effort, it takes work, and then you get tired and you get irritable because you have to work hard to think. What does Jesus teach of the Bible? Take no thought for your life. Okay, I'm confused, Charlie, because clearly in life we're presented with many things. So therefore, if I'm not thinking, then how do I deal with any situation that is presented to me? Like, somebody's got to be thinking. Correct. Let that person be God. Let that person be the creator. The creator is always, that's why the creator is in meditation. If we once again quickly go back to the God camera, remember, because I'm a good friend, and I've been given access, secret code to drop into that live video room, that live feed of God. Here we go. We're going to just count down 3, 2, 1. There's God again, perpetual in every single moment. And that's reality. Guarantee it.
So can I just interject to check? Yep. I've got this, so hopefully our listeners get it. So what we're saying is, like, the first step is recognizing that our thoughts aren't us and aren't real. And actually what we need to be doing is almost be a sort of an open vessel for the knowledge that comes through us, rather than being taken outside of ourselves in thoughts.
All of the ancient scriptures, the Bible included, all that it does is it consistently teaches you 2 pathways and 2 tails. The pathway to the left is broad and spacious. The many will take it. It leads to a precipice, and people don't realize that they've walked over the edge of a precipice until they're hanging like the Wile E. Coyote cartoon character on Bugs Bunny, until they're hanging from a root on the side of the cliff face going, how the heck did I get here? That is the left-hand path. That is the broad and spacious way that the many will take. Absolutely. We don't awaken until we are on, the precipice. That's right. Now, the other alternative, and this, by the way, would also reflect eternal life. So you see, you have a choice. Once again, don't let anybody else tell you. You always have a choice with everything in your existence. So then the alternate way is the path that is straight and it is narrow. The further you go down, it is so straight, it is so narrow, just like your vision, that you can't turn back. That's the beauty of this. This is how much God loves you. This is how incredible this creation is. When you wander down this path by doing the work, and goodness knows how long it takes, because it depends on how dedicated your work is. But when you get to a certain point on this pathway, there's no turning around. Why? Because now the roof has narrowed so far, you can't crane your neck around. And the sides on your perspective vision have come in so far, you can't turn your shoulders around. There's only one way, which is to continue forward. And that is walking towards the light. So again, we come back to what we talked about last week. There is these 2 worlds, and you could look at them, left brain, right brain, but let's look at it this way too. Light versus matter. This is everything that Josh teaches, and it's so beautiful because it's so true, and it applies to everyone in every moment. When you take thought of yourself, when you get angry with the stimuli through your 5 physical senses, when you fall for that trick, that trap of the sinfulness of abandoning the perfection of the earth and God in every single moment for the sensual imagery of the five physical senses, that's the sin. You're sinning when you're absent of God. The right brain, you're not tempted by the physical pleasures. Don't be tempted. You can enjoy them, absolutely, but don't be tempted by them. So then, as I said earlier, how do you live then? Charlie, if you're saying not to take thought and my child is screaming and crying, what do I do? Be still, be silent, be calm, and then your 6 and your 7 chakras, your 6 and your 7 senses become omniscient, omnipresent, because you see, you have God within you. Therefore, you have God-like powers within you, because we are all the child of God. So you see, the 6th sense is intuition. The 7th sense is telepathy. Both do not observe time. There's no such thing as time in God's realm. There's no such thing as linear time in the 2 higher senses of intuition and telepathy. They move at beyond any speed. They're instantaneous. And so you will simply know. So when I say, don't drive down the highway, thinking, but I have to think because I'm going 100 miles an hour. I've got my kids in the back. Okay, but you just daydream for the past 5 minutes down a crazy highway going 100 miles an hour because you were in thought, because you're not in control of your thoughts. And you just were not present, and you love your kids, but for 5 minutes, you were not present going 100 miles an hour down a highway. So don't tell me that it's dangerous not to take thought. No, it's dangerous to take thought. When you connect with God in the right hemisphere of your brain, the transmutation of mana, which is this food of life, which is everlasting, is instantaneous. And it doesn't matter whether it comes to you through a gut feeling, which is your intuition, that is from your solar plexus, through the silver cord. There's a silver cord, that's the silver lining and everything. And it runs from your solar plexus up the silver cord to the golden bell. And the golden bell is the pineal gland. And when you get intuition in your stomach, it tweaks your pineal gland, and then you know. And when you get higher than that, then you have telepathy. And telepathy is that God's voice is your voice. Haven't you seen this before with all of these great speeches and these incredible characters from these incredible biblical stories? And they're always saying the right words in the right moment. You think this is you talking? This is God working through you. And you can do this every moment of your life by taking no thought. Because when you take no thought, then instantly you have to have thought to be able to play this game or enjoy this ride. So then what replaces it? Right brain, God. That's perspective, because God is upon high. He sees all, he created all, he knows all. So therefore the choices he will make are the right choices, not the wrong ones. When you make choices, where do we all live? Doesn't matter who we are, myself included, not better than anybody else. I exist on a valley floor. I'm surrounded by mountains. I have no perspective. If I think that I'm all this or that, I'm going to fall again so quickly, because I do not possess any extra gifts than anybody else. The only way that Charlie Freak can help you is to turn the light on within myself. And this is like Josh said, what you just said earlier, and I'll just finish my little piece with this. People say this to me all the time: Charlie, I know that you're telling the truth because I see it. I know that sounds weird, but when you speak this to me and when I feel it, and I see that you're telling the truth. And what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you're hearing is not me. Do not give me the praise. I am just a vessel. At least I have enough wisdom to know that I just need to be the vessel between you and God. And that's all that I'm doing. If I provide a service, that's all that I'm doing. I am not special. I am not someone to be praised and exalted at all. I am the exact same as everybody else. Yeah, go ahead, guys.
I was just going to say, you're a clear channel, and it's, you know, for everybody out there listening, it's, you know, getting to that point in where we just trust ourselves in the moment that the right information, knowledge, or intuition will come with whatever it is that we are doing. So beautifully explained, both of you. Thank you. That was really incredible. Both of your explanations were wonderful. So I'm gonna.
Could I just add one thing?
Yes, and then we're going to invite Nina in.
If one still hasn't got a clear picture of how this works, I'd analogize it, if that's a true word, by saying if one's alone and they, for example, are throwing a stone at some particular spot or a hole that they wanted to get in, and it would just happen with non-thought. When they bring a visitor in and they try to show the same thing again or try to do it with thought, it doesn't happen. And it's the same for somebody who may sing in the shower and they can find the pitch and find their voice, but as soon as they do it in front of other beings, the thought will come into play, and now that thought will destroy what you actually can do. So true performers and true beings are vessels of the expression of who they truly are. So, you know, true sportsmen who have the who are in front of the masses, for example, if they were in a type of thought, they would not be able to play at their full capability, because they'd be, from an ego standpoint, observing their self, and they wouldn't be able to function as true as they can. So that is how I could put it. You know, everybody's had to screw up a piece of paper and had a long distance throw and it's gone straight in without any thought. But as soon as you try to think about it, it's not going in the bin. So
it's about us stepping into our true state of being and embodying that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to invite Nina in now, who has a question she would like to ask. The beautiful Nina Marie, she is part of my Dharma Life community. And she posted a question earlier and I really, really liked it. And it really fits actually really well with what we are talking about now. So we'll just give her a minute. Hopefully she will appear. And hopefully she will appear.
Yeah, again, while we're waiting, as Josh was just saying, they're very famously on that, again, Bugs Bunny, because they're putting the truth in plain sight in front of you, but they don't explain it. But you remember there's the singing frog, and the frog sings like an opera star when he's alone. But as soon as you attempt to show the frog in front of everybody else, ribbit, ribbit, ribbit.
Wonderful. Nina, are you there? There she is.
Hello.
Oh. Welcome, Nina. Welcome to the calamity that is our show this evening. We are going with the flow.
We are.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us. I loved your question. So would you be kind enough to introduce yourself, tell the guys a little bit about you, and then obviously, let's ask the question.
Yes, I'm here. I've got lots playing in. Hello. Hang on. Yes, we're on.
We are on, yes.
Yes. It's got a real sort of feedback issue, and it's quite slow. So, yeah, sorry.
I can hear
you. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I'm a member of your Dharma group, and I follow Josh's page and Charlie Freak's page, and I think you're all amazing guys, and a little bit starstruck here. Charlie, if I could ask you a question, is Charlie there?
Yep, absolutely. Welcome to the show, Nina.
Hi, Charlie. Yeah, so this one is, how can we tell the difference between those that are working for the light and those that are false light? Because having done so much research over the last sort of 7 or 8 years, I find it quite hard sometimes to differentiate.
It's a great question. Josh and I have discussed this so much between ourselves, and we've kept this to ourselves. I think Josh has continued to keep it to himself, and Colleen and I begun to speak out about it because the fact of the matter is that well over 99% of those that are portraying themselves as light workers aren't. And it doesn't matter whether there's a subterfuge to it or not. It doesn't matter. You're either light or you're matter, and that's the whole thing. So how do you know? Is because the light workers that say they're light workers and are trying to teach this light message, ultimately all they end up teaching you is to stay stuck in your uncles rooted in Egypt of the left brain, and you'll never rise. The only way to do anything, get anywhere, is this one story. If they're not teaching this one story, then they're not helping you at all. The story is the Holy Trinity. It's the pyramid, and you have to get out of Egypt. You have to cross the river, because if you then you need that, denial is not just another river. You have to the flowing with milk and honey within you. And that is right hemisphere of your brain. Anything, I mean everything. Hollywood, TV, and Professor Tolkien's Lord of the Rings.
Charlie, we're losing.
Incredible story.
We're losing you. Right.
Well, let me pass over to Josh, because Josh knows this inside out, and we'll just wait for my signal to get better. So everybody.
Over to you, Josh.
There is only one light, and the light is the source light. So all information takes you away from the true source. So people, who are on their journey sharing information are wonderful people who are sharing where they are at and how they feel. But information is a trap for light. It's a reciprocation of a box light. So I would suggest just on your own journey to take what you need and to feel what resonates with you, but always look around the dimensions of these energies, and if you're seeking still and you haven't quite found the space where you feel at peace, is to just take what you need from life and to build up your temple, and in time you will find what's right. So information and beings are out there sharing the resonance where they're at. Most people who feel like someone's working for the dark side is truly that they just haven't found the light, and they're sharing what they feel is right.
Okay.
Portals to disinformation are everywhere, but what's right would always sit within you, and you will feel the expression of pain. And if pain is present, there's something that needs to be adjusted. If you have a question after that, no problem. But I feel like you are on the right path. The people that you may be researching at the time, take what you need. And then really, if you're looking for the ultimate truth, it's truly the Buddha state of man and the Christ consciousness, to be non-thought, and then to progress in your own awareness to limitless capabilities. And that is really truly found in nature. So nature, you should be nurtured, and go within and find what's right for you.
And as you said about the food as well.
Key is the key. Food, on the journey of man, food is information, and multiple types of food that carry information makes this body. But this body is matter, and the true body is light. So this is your etherical body, and the more that you climb this Jacob's ladder, as such, the El Adder, to become balanced, you find that your body doesn't actually need food. It's light. And as you progress, and it's not necessarily something that people want to do and you do not need to do, but food can be transcended, and in that transcendence of food you will become light. So it's a slow progression, and as you progress you feel like the walls that surround you need to be lifted. the box that you've been housed in is not even true. It's a creation of man, and the true field is outside of that inner field with the frequency of life, and that's still a small progression to who you truly are. Never feel capped, never feel like there's a limit, because truly there is no limit. It's just how far you're willing to go on your cycle of samsara at this present time.
I always feel better when I fast as well. So, you know, the longer you fast for, and then just the fruit and just juicing the fruits and that kind of thing, I always feel a lot more connected when I do that. And that I just want to progress that more.
It's a whole, how could I say it? It's a lifestyle. So the more that you find yourself fasting, the more that you eat holistic and raw, you'll find that the more that the world doesn't suit you anymore. And the next level of your progression is to find some land, to find somewhere sweet, and to nurture what's growing within you.
Definitely.
To be a flower like a flower, and just let you be guided by yourself. You truly know.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
And Nina, if I can jump back in for a sec, just again, remember folks, no matter where you go, and no matter what allegory Josh is teaching through or I'm teaching through, the allegory always relates back to three things, and that is father, mother, child. You must know this. You absolutely must know this. So when we're talking about, for example, food and breath, food is the mother, breath is the father. And this is why it starts with food, because we're grounded to the earth by our uncles. And so by definition, we are in Egypt, and we have to be in Egypt because we have to go on a journey. This is the most incredible game ever, Nina. And God loves you so much that and he's always holding your hand. Absolutely. We can choose to accept that touch, or we can push it away. That's totally up to us. But you're never given anything that is too great a challenge for you. There's no situation, even, when you just go, oh my gosh, I can't take it. You're at your precipice, but you won't go any further, because you'll never be given anything that is too much. The father is always with you. And remember, the mother wants to go where you want to go, because she is in love with the father. And see, the thing that's incredible, I just want everyone to please listen and please get this. And then it's a process of doing the work. But know this, your purpose in life is not just for you, because you have to help the mother. And the incredible nature of all of this is that, like Tesla said, we're electrical, so we're downward causations. We constantly fall. That's why we rise a little and then we fall. Electricity is a downward causation. It'll always take you back to Egypt in the desert, surrounded by these pyramids. What we have to become is magnetic, and that's the Mother Mary, which is the scalar wave, which is eternally rising in the beautiful eternal eight. And when we rise, she comes with us. Please hear when I say this again, because this is so beautiful. It is so important. It's not just about us. We're doing this for the whole of the family. And when you do this for yourself, then you're doing it for every other mankind, woman or man. You're doing this for all of us. You have to become the light of the world. You must become Jesus Christ, male or female, masculine or feminine. We all must follow this path of the Christed one. We must rise. And why was the only person there when Jesus rose out of the tomb after 2.5 days? Why was Mary Magdalene the only one there? Because Jesus wasn't going anywhere without Mary, because she is magnetism, and magnetism rises, and we are electricity. Josh knows this in and out. Electricity is positive, but it's a downward causation, and down, down, down to Goblin Town we go. And only the mother will raise us up. But remember, the mother is terrified inside of us because we become a carnal beast of the left brain. And so she hides. She's coiled up like a serpent 3.5 times right down in the root or base of us, which is the Muladhara root chakra. And she's terrified. So until we slay the dragon. The dragon is your ego, is your left brain. Until we become calm and peaceful inside, she won't leave the cave because she's guarded over by the dragon. That's why this allegory exists of where we must slay the dragon. Slaying the dragon is taking no thought. I swear to you, this is how I did it. This is how I did it. And if I can do it, anybody can do this. And it's just ultimately at the end of the day, it's trusting that God is real, that this is true, that this is the way, that this is the truth. And then you just slowly start to do it. And then, you know, like you are going to make it, because look at, you're with Aloise, you're with the Dharma Life Academy, you're connecting to Josh X, you're on the right path. And so if there's one advice I can just give you, please, everyone, listen, trust in God. God is so real, and the mother is so real, but she needs peace and quiet within you to trust that you're not a madman that's going to beat her and send her to the hospital with bumps and bruises because you're a carnal lunatic of the left brain. There's the right Mary and there's the wrong Mary. There's the right masculine and there's the wrong masculine. We have to choose the right path, the right way. So thank you for letting me interject that, folks. But it's so beautiful.
How was that?
Thank you. Fantastic. Just whoa. It's amazing because you watch it on the podcast and you listen to it on the podcast, and then when you're actually talking to you two, it's just like, wow. Yeah. Yeah. You can feel the energy, and it's just so right, everything you say. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much, both of you. You're doing amazing work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. I really appreciate you coming on. So, well, amazing, guys. Thank you. And so I have a question, Charlie. So the calcination then is the first part of that process, basically linking it back to what we're talking about with regards to the 7 levels of alchemy, that the calcination that we talked about last week is the breaking down of the ego and the parts of ourselves which get in the way of us being happy.
Yep.
There's that saying, isn't there? Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
Exactly. And the Essenes and the Gnostics, they didn't get anything wrong. They got everything right because, and by the way, who are the Essenes and the Gnostics? They became the Catholic monks, and the Catholic monks lived apart. And by the way, their teachings are in these books called the Nag Hammadi. And by the way, remember I was telling you about those 76 treatises that were emailed to me about some of this information that has been rescued from the Vatican, underneath the Vatican. There are more scrolls. Of course there are. There are more scrolls to the Nag Hammadi. And again, just what Josh and I absolutely knew must be the truth. And that's exactly what they're saying in the Nag Hammadi. The Catholica monks, the monks that became part of the Catholica Church, what they did, that's why you see pictures of them always rising, because that's what they did. They went within, they exalted the sacred feminine within them, and then she just took them on trip after trip, ride after ride, and they ascended because she is magnetism, and they gave away thought. And so monks are the masters of the mono. Monks are mono, and that is the monadic circle or the mono point. This is the 0 point energy that Tesla spoke about, and this is God. They connected, and then rapture is to rise. Oh, I'll just leave it at that for now.
Well, that's perfect because I've got another guest who is going to come in. Unless there's something you would like to add, Josh?
No, just the synchronicity with the monk word is mon with the K on the end, which just means balancing with the one, the mono.
Nice. Fantastic.
Yep.
So we are going to invite our next guest in, Richard. He's also a member of our Dharma Life Academy. I did reach out to another lady, but I didn't hear back. So we won't be just favouring Dharma Life Academy people, I promise. So welcome the lovely Richard. Can you hear us? There he is.
Yeah, I can hear.
Good day, brother.
Good day, Josh. Nice to be speaking with you too, Charlie.
Wonderful.
been waiting a very long time to say hi to you gentlemen. I've got quite an interesting question for you both, because I'm an actor that's been on the periphery of the industry for about 10, 15 years, not really delving too deep into it. And obviously we know what's going on in that kind of world at the moment. But I'd like to ask both your opinions on if TV and film does actually have a place in the new world of spiritual awakening. And if so, do we need a lot more work with spirituality layered in the programming that we watch?
Who would you like to direct it to first? Anyone?
Go ahead, Josh.
Okay, I would personally say that it depends on where the world's going, and the Earth is always going to remain the same. The Earth has a wonderful place for beings who like to express themselves through characters, and especially the young that will be up and coming, and not for entertainment, but for spiritual alignment with progressive characters. So 100% there is a space for, if it's your vibration and this is something that flows through you and this is your honesty, that there's a massive place in the Earth for beings who are there to share, to create scenarios that one can progress in their awareness with. So 100%, brother, you definitely would have a place. And in the world, you know, if television's going to progress, I would say again, yes, the necessary form of evil that goes on inside the world is necessary for the evolution of consciousness. So it'll always have a dual edge. I feel like television may progressively be more oppressive, but at the same time, one's dimension of thought and freeingness would be opposite ends of the scale. So to free oneself via the television would be a lot harder than it has been. There'd be more intricate designs to it, so there's more creative capacity. If that answers your question, I'll let Charlie speak. And is that something that makes?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Richard, you know, the thing that always strikes me odd about about the theater troops in particular, but all actors, is that they literally don't know their own history. So the term theater in the round is very, very important, because it's where theater came from. And it just means that I'm going to express myself, so gather round. And so everybody gathered round and somebody expressed themselves. Now, there's no thought in this. There's no script. Where did Hollywood go wrong? Because you have to have a script, and you have to have these lines written down, and they have to be approved. People have to look over these lines. And then this is what drives producers and directors crazy and make enemies of one another, because they argue endlessly over this word and that word and this, you know, color and this stage prop and this. There's just thinking. Theater in the round, there was no thinking. I'm going to express myself. The children gathered round and they were entertained by spontaneous creation. That's what creation is. So the moment theater went wrong is when we started applying script to it, because script is scripture, which is on, dead words on a dead piece of paper. God is the God of the living. Be alive. That's what theater in the round is. Theater in the round is live presentation. And by the way, theater in the round was comedy. It was drama. It was a love story. It was interactive. It was a soliloquy. It was everything. It's everything. That's right. It's the opposite of bread and circus. So what you can do, Richard, to lead the way moving forward is get back to this, because like Aloysius said it 3 times already on the show today, authenticity. That is where the truth is. You see, even if you don't know all of the X's and the O's inside of you to connect the dots up Jacob's ladder to the promised land that flows with milk and honey, you'll get there, because it's the way. It's the only way. So if you stop thinking, Of course you'll get there, because it's the way. God wants you to get there. The trees want you to get there. The air, the sun, the moon, everybody wants you to get there. Get out of your way. And we always get in our way by thinking, take no thought. So how does theater become the greatest creation moving forward and leads man? Why is it that the arts always are the ones that tell us the truth? Why is it that art always pushes us forward? Because there's no thought. People get lost in the moment, and then they go, did I just sculpt that? That's cool. Right? Mm-hmm. Did I just, like Roger Hodgson from Supertramp. Roger always says, I sometimes, with a lot of these songs, I feel guilty putting my name down as the songwriter, because it came to me in 10 minutes. It came to me and I felt guilty for putting myself down. That's intuition. That's telepathy. Get out of your way. Get into those higher senses. And then, Richard, be the light of this world, my friend. Change theater. Get it out of a studio. Get it outdoors where it belongs, and just be you in the moment. And all the creative juice and God is so funny, and he's the greatest rapper, and he's the greatest break dancer, and he's the greatest singer and opera singer. He's all of those things, and he wants that to shine through us. So just be that in the moment.
Funny enough, you're saying that. When I wrote my scripts that I'm looking to make into a film, when I'm allowed to, I didn't think about what I was writing. A lot of that just came out of me like intuition. And I've always thought, even when I'm directing or I'm making something, that an actor has their own input. If they want to change the line, if they feel like what they need to say needs to be different to what's written down on the script, I have no problem with that. I love how the creative connection between people that have already been chosen for that project come together.
Wonderful, wonderful. So spontaneous performance, basically getting back to in the moment performance. Richard, that sounds like you all over.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, that's a breadcrumb if ever I heard one to your Dharma.
That's a loaf of bread.
That was a loaf. Yeah, I like it. And just building on that point, actually, Josh, like how can everyone listening, like, by listening to our higher calling, that helps us kind of break down, doesn't it, the limiting parts of us, and really enables us to be whole. So can you kind of speak to our own individual, like obviously Richard is passionate about film and acting, it's very much his Dharma. Why is that like a secret key to our kind of transformation, to our higher calling, and to us evolving as such?
Everybody has different triggers, and everyone has different aspects to play in this wonderful game of consciousness or awareness. Just as ants and bees and butterflies play magnificent roles, the true magnificence is to magnify senses. So where someone opens up and blossoms, another flower will see this. So for somebody to be in the shadow of the performance world is to be awoken or inspired by that. And we all have different inspiration, just as we all have different faces. So this consciousness, or this web of creation that is forever expanding, is utilizing from the one source the expression through man in so many different levels that this one source can understand everything, if that makes sense.
So you're saying we're all unique and we need to embody that uniqueness? Yes,
because if we were all the same, it wouldn't be very, very fun.
That would be boring.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. The true nature of this is just pure expression, and that's all that it is. It is just creative force and life.
And by, I suppose, being that authentic selves, by being ourselves at that soul level, we're also in a higher frequency, because we're being who we came here to be, effectively, and raising our vibration.
You find your portal to the oneness. Everybody has their own path, but it walks down the narrow one. So one lives virtuously and expresses herself honestly, they will find divinity in the shortest route down the narrow path.
Yep.
Charlie, anything you'd like to add?
Again, I just made a diagram here. I'm not sure if everyone can see it. I'm not the most talented creator, but what you're looking at here is the sphenoid bone inside of your head. And so what I wrote below it here is theater in the round. And that's theater in the round. So circle and sends your third eye. That is what's called the optic thalamus, which is the light of the world. And that's Jesus Christ is the light of the world. That's Christ consciousness. That's the 13th cranial nerve. And when you're presenting theater in the round, that's exactly what you're doing. So I also wrote over to the side, see, this is visible. As above, so below, as within, so without, as with the universe, so with souls. And critically, as soon as I was inside of my hand coming to me, immediately live on, you know, that this is to you, and it flows to you, and you know, you sort of connect with this truth within, and then it expresses from within out, and it in two dimensions, the higher world and the, you know, and that's exactly what this is. So you see, when we are presenting theater in the round authentically, that's exactly what's happening inside of us. So if you want to know how everything above you works, or how everything inside of you works, everything's tied together as the one. So when we live authentically, you'll see the truth. You'll always see the truth. And that's theater in the round. And that's you as Christ consciousness. And then on the sphenoid bone, which is a flat plane inside of your head, all the children gather around and they're watching you present. They're listening to the teachings of Jesus. They're listening to Krishna, to Buddha, and it is Muhammad. It is so beautiful. It is so beautiful. And that's exactly how it worked, guys.
Thank you, Charlie. How was that, Richard?
That's brilliant.
Inspired?
Oh, yes. And I've realized why I've not completed the script, because I was in my own way and I was thinking too much.
Richard is very talented at what he does, and yeah, we know that his Dharma will be one to watch. So yeah, thank you, Richard, so much for joining us. I really appreciate you coming on the show, and hopefully that has given you a big, as we said, loaf towards your Dharma.
Most definitely.
Wonderful to meet you.
Thank you, Eloise. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Josh.
No problem. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you, Richard. There we go. So, guys, fantastic conversation. Really fantastic conversation. Thank you. I'm just reading some of the comments in the chat, and yeah, we've got some fantastic feedback saying that this is such an inspiring conversation and people getting a lot out of it. So we've got 20 minutes. So if it's okay, I just would like to build on this, because this is my Dharma is encouraging people to do their Dharma, and kind of being a light around what happens when we have the courage to step into our authentic selves. And, you know, what I see, and I'd love to get both of your thoughts on this, is I just see the most incredible synchronicities happen in people's lives when they start to follow their authentic paths. Some of the stories I could tell you would just, you know, I'll give you one example. One of our incredible ladies that joined us, you know, she worked out, she was a nurse. She wanted to become a nutrition coach. She had no idea how she was going to go about it, but she knew that was the next stage of her journey. And essentially, she managed to manifest a £10,000 grant into doing her course for free. And I see these miracles time and time again, where people get the feedback from the universe that they are going the right path and are going the right direction. So I just wonder, Josh, why does that happen? Why does that work? I love it, but can you kind of speak to why that happens?
It happens in opposites as well, but sometimes people can't be receptive to what's happening until they become aware of how things are working for them. So every action creates the reaction. And this is truly in the sense of how you create your karma as such. So, for instance, if you choose to rush, as we know patience is a virtue, just for an example, that most people have rushed and dropped things and then become stressed and have heat come through the body, stub their toe. All of these things are actually the universe trying to teach you that you shouldn't be rushing and you should be patient and still, and things will go quicker and more efficient for you. So in the same aspect that you just need to be receptive to how life is treating you. This is the interactive interface with consciousness. Everybody has a portal that they see from, and these eyes are windows to this world and earth. But one needs to sit down to observe rather than think, to be able to see how life truly is. So it really, we are just in an interface that is acting through your awareness and your state of being. And the external world will just give you the symbiotic relationship that you need at that particular point for your progression. So when you focus on something negative, for example, negative things will manifest because the mind is negative. And to overcome the negativity, you need to progress past the point of these negative things that have the possibility of happening. And then once they've happened, you can realize that they're not actually as bad as what you were thinking in the thought realm, to be able to overcome the fact that thoughts have trapped you previously to emotion. And then once you've overcome these things, life becomes more simple. So great things happen to people who are positive. And I've found in helping beings is that to be non-progressive and not actioning your own thoughts, they become trapped, and you feel all this in the body. And as soon as you take action for how the thoughts are, i.e. applying knowledge, you then have the gifts that pour in from this interface with consciousness. You are literally a portal viewing. These eyes are complete portals, and you are an individual that is finding their way in the realm of the inertia plane.
So positive synchronicity, but there's negative synchronicity. So why do we see lots of beautiful positive synchronicity when people are going after their dreams?
Because they're taking action and applying their thoughts as such. Because once one has transcended thought, they know how the interface happens. So they create their own reality via just will. But actioning is the key. The positive mental attitude creates a positive manifestation in the awareness. So people who are positively actioning their life will have the positive feedback. People that sit still just get the mental feedback. And that mental feedback traps them in a pain situation where thoughts and emotions are trying to dominate. And through non-action in that, the domination becomes more intense until Great Depression sets in. But freedom from depression is action. Action takes you from non-thought, and to be a non-thought creates at will.
So using our creative energy, which is ourselves, in action wisely.
If someone's not happy with the position they're in, nothing's going to come and change it. You've been given an awareness and a physical body in the physical realm to take action to progressively change the way that you exist. And it's a part of this experience. This is why we have a physical body. The mental, emotional state is affected by your action massively. And if someone is feeling depression or anxiety, it's past and future. And to be here and now and to action in this moment takes you away from all of these thoughts. But to be progressive is to also feel the power or empowerment in that day. You know, if someone just takes a small step to progress to where they see or envision, there would be none of this, the feelings of depression. Just if I can advise anybody looking to create a life for themselves, is to just daily take a small step. And when you look back, you'll realize how far you've come.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And Charlie, how can you speak to this subject of purpose and Dharma and why more drawings?
Again, Josh, just people in the comments that they say, watch Charlie's face when Josh speaks. It's like Charlie's just in heaven when Josh speaks. Yeah, because I love when other creations see all of this and share all of this. It's so beautiful. So I am just permanently happy when Josh is teaching, because he's exactly right. So I just created this diagram, and essentially looking at two eyes and the bridge of a nose, and this is left brain, right brain, and it just gets to the heart of this, the two words. So this is the Dharma life, Dharma Life and the Dharma Life Academy. And remember, Dharma and karma are connected, but they're the opposite. So again, what is karma? Like Josh said, karma is action, and therefore where this action is largely determined your so therefore the rewards are always built in, so thus they get all of this negative karma, which is, as Josh says, is the samsara, round you go in karma. Dharma is the opposite. Dharma is the right hemisphere of the brain, and Dharma is going within, and is the stillness and the silence to find the happiness and the joy, and that is the pureness of your path. Karma is a consequential life where you're always living in reaction to the negative consequences you get by following somebody else's mass, somebody else's teachings. And so you become lost along the way. And Dharma is never becoming lost because you're on the right path. And Josh said something really, really important. And that's what the bridge of the nose is, by the way, folks. It's an interface. And it is, isn't it? Because look at where your nose is on your face. It's the interface. And it is this passageway between two worlds. And again, it's your choice in every single moment. When you follow somebody else, when you live the world out there filled with all of its dazzling lights, then you will be a victim to whatever it is that they're teaching. And sadly, virtually everything that they're teaching is a lie. When you go within, still and silence yourself and connect to whatever it is that is within you, that is the light of the world. That's going to the right. And that is the way. And then what happens is that your physical life projects itself from here. See, now you're in control because God is the creator. And this pathway falls away. No longer this negative road with problems, they don't exist. Cast your net to the right, and this world projects itself outwards. This is what's called emergence. And again, how do you know who's telling the truth and who's not telling the truth? What should I trust in? Trust these key words. Emergent is a key word. Emergence is a huge word, because all light comes out of the darkness. All life comes from within. All life is emergent in nature. It is within here, and it must express itself outwards. And that is emergence, and that is the true teaching. And this is the right way. This is Dharma. And then Dharma controls your reality, and it plays itself out. You see? Because it's emergent. Dharma is within you, and it plays itself out there. And that becomes the world out there. And guess what? You don't meet these nasty people. You don't bump into terrible situations. You can't, because your karma is now controlled by your Dharma. When you live here, your karma rules everything. There is no Dharma. You're just a victim of the samsara. Dharma, karma, samsara. There is a door in the samsara, and that's called the moksha. And you must cast your net to the right, because that door, the moksha, is to the right. And if you don't cast your net to the right,
so by following
around and around you go.
So by following our right path of action, our Dharma, we stay on our authentic path and away from karma, I think.
That's right. Yeah. Karma, you're a victim. Yeah.
Beautiful. So I want to give, that was amazing, guys. Thank you, both of you. I just want to give Josh, I know we've got to drop off at 8. So how can people find you, Josh? How can they come? How can they listen to you? What, is there anything you want to share? I know you've got some events coming up.
Yeah, Josh X on YouTube. We've got a Instagram. It's at x.elfam. This is predominantly run by my partner Michelle X, and currently we are and have found a wonderful space to create this healing ashram, wonderful organic forest in Portugal, the Algarve, 300 days of sunshine.
Wow.
On this 35 acres of land leading to the beach, and we're trying to currently manifest this. So we're going to try and host a few events and things like that to be able to try and raise funds with brother Charlie, as he's doing the same in Mexico. And we're hopefully going to try and hold a wonderful evening on the solstice with great minds and wonderful singers and speakers and creative minds to try and bring these things into fruition for us. I do have a Patreon and a PayPal, and everything that we get is going to be going towards creating this wonderful space. So if you can support, it's very, very welcome and very kind of you. So this thing will happen, and it's going to happen very soon. People can come for free to find their self, to heal, and to just visit and be or see for themselves something that they wish to create. And hopefully this will be one of the pivotal points in time where this can reflect across Earth, and we can have many of these spaces where it just take over the land and we can restore balance for everyone and everything.
Wow, what a beautiful vision. Yeah, I would love to help you hold that vision for you and help you build that vision. That sounds incredible. Thank you. So by all means, send me those details and I'll make sure we put them in the show notes. So the solstice, we're connected now. So
yes, thank you.
That would be fantastic. And then Charlie, what about you? This is like election. We're coming, a few days away. So this is what's happening in your world. Yeah,
tomorrow. And of course, both of you are invited, although we recognize the reality of both of you being 6 hours ahead. So what we've decided to do is to become sort of a beacon for a lot of people who are very excited about what's going to transpire tomorrow. So tomorrow is Super Tuesday in the United States. This is November 3rd. It's election day. By the way, November 3rd is Noah had the ark completely filled, and he battened down the hatches, and Noah was ready on November 3rd, and the rain started on 11/4. On November 4th, 40 days and 40 nights of the healing rain of the Father and the cleansing of the lands, the draining of the swamp existed starting 11/4. So 11/3, which is tomorrow, is a very, very important day and very important energy. So we're hosting, Colleen and I are going to host a live election night party, and we're going to start at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1:30 a.m. UK time, which means Josh time as well. And so we've invited all of our sort of great friends from, which is amazing because it's all over the world, to come on and join us. And so the link will be on our Facebook pages. I don't have a Facebook page anymore.
You finally got booted off.
That's right. Once and for all, they finally got rid of me. And so that doesn't exist, but it'll be on a FreakSense World group page, and it'll be on Colleen, which is Colleen Marie, Facebook page, and that'll be the link for the show. And so, I mean, literally, probably live, we're looking at somewhere between 2,000 to 10,000 people tuning in live. And so, what we're really looking forward to are you know, people like yourselves, especially Josh and Aloise, to drop in, even if it's for 5 or 10 minutes. We pass out the Zoom code and you drop into the Zoom room, and then you just share your genius for a short period of time, then go to sleep. Although who could really sleep when the fate of the world is riding on what happens tomorrow night? So yeah, so this is, we want to make it fun. It's going to be very, very light, positive energy. It's sort of a culmination of all the hard work that everybody's been doing, bringing us to this point. And I've predicted a giant red wave, which is that Trump and the Republicans are going to win all 50 states. And then the Democrats are going to scream that it's rigged, and then it'll play itself out, I think, sooner rather than later. And then this process of the great release of truth will come, the healing will begin. It's going to be awful to hear some of the things that are coming, but the truth of what is coming is just incredible. So that's the party tomorrow night. Again, when you click on the link, it'll take you directly into FreakSense TV on YouTube, and you'll just be part of the live show. You can leave comments all night. And again, those who want to drop in via the Zoom room, they just ask Davina. Davina Kaur will be the host, and Davina will pass out a Zoom code, and you can drop in. And again, for Aloise and for Josh, you know, we understand the lives that both of you have and the time that this is. But boy, would it be amazing if you guys could drop in, even if it's just for a short period of time. Right. And yeah, the list of people that are going to be doing this and coming on the show is pretty amazing, and it's going to be an amazing night. And positivity, positive. It's going to be light, and it's not going to be dark, because that's what we're exercising tomorrow and tomorrow night is darkness. And we can get busy with this light. And you know, Josh and I are a partnership in and of ourselves, and we're working the same things. So what Josh is doing there, we're doing here. And these food forests and this free land for free men and women is just that. It will be free, and you can get busy with doing the work and living your lives as in freedom, real freedom.
Fantastic. That sounds amazing. I would love to drop in tomorrow. So thank you so much.
Wow.
And thank you to all of our listeners. I really appreciate you bearing with us. I appreciate we had a shaky start, but I really hope that you enjoyed this evening. I know there was some real gnosis and knowledge dropped. So if you have enjoyed this, please do share this video. I would really appreciate it. And obviously this is your show. So what questions would you like to ask for next week? Would you like to come on the show? Please, by all means, drop me an email at aloise@aloise.life or message me on Facebook. And we will see you next week on the Innerstanding Spirituality Show.